you need leaders to run GCC.
Hmm.
And that is your foundation.
Sure.
Leaders who can talk to outside of the world,
Mm-hmm.
who can showcase the capabilities within the country,
Yeah.
and who can also navigate tough, challenging conversations when it comes to convincing the board.
Right.
So leaders play a very, very important role in the foundation of GCC.
Yeah.
And hence ensuring that you are hiring the right set of people. Investing is what I say is the right word, in the right set of people who are the foundation of your organization, and they bring in the right set of people who scale your capabilities.
Sure.
AI enabled talent is what we should talk about. I mean, you should know how to use your AI to your best interest, and they will not be replacing humans at any point in time. So that hype around the AI that everything is gonna go and we'll not need people, it won't happen.
Hi Anuprita, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
I want to start by asking you a little bit about your journey and how you got into the GCC space in the first place.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story. Forever I did my biotechnology, and post doing my biotechnology, I was having this conversation with my sister that, what is the scope? And I'm talking about the year of 2024, 2004, 2005. And that's when she was doing her nuclear medicine. And she was like, do you really want to pursue this? Because you have to do your biotechnology, then you have to do your master's, and then a PhD, and then you'll end up being a scientist, but a lab technician first, and then it'll take you ages to really build that. And at that point in time, Indian system was not that robust,
Yeah.
and we were not getting so much of visibility what today we have. So I was like, okay, then what do I do? I mean, I wanted to do biotechnology, and immunology was my interest of area where I would want to get into. But I then was lost. I was like, did I take a wrong decision? And then we calibrated ourselves and we said, let's do MBA.
Mm-hmm.
And I did MBA, and in MBA I figured out altogether a new world. And then I realized that probably there are so many things which changed during the course of my entire curriculum. And I started off with a company called General Motors, and it is an automotive company, but they were setting up their center in India at that point in time. And when I started off, it was from the HR domain.
Sure.
And I started building the organization along with some of my leaders. And in that point in time, we were around 200 people, scaling up to around 3,000 people. And in that course of time, understanding the nuances of how you build a GCC, and they were not called GCCs at that point in time, they were technical centers. And building the technical center and then having people into it, and then we met with bankruptcy and we had to deal with that. Post that, obviously, we had to close down the technical center in India, and till that journey, I was there end to end. And then I got into a company called Beckman Coulter, where it was very interesting how life sciences organization and the IT capabilities come together. It was a short stint, and then post that I moved to Merck. Merck is where in 2018, when I joined, they were trying to leverage the footprint of this GCC landscape. And we had a small footprint of 200 people. Around these 200 people were wanting to be utilized in terms of the capability.
Sure.
And then that time our CIO, he wanted to make a roadmap where, we build in-house capabilities. Definitely we were very high on the ID costs, and cost was one of the primary reason, but we also had an existing capability which was to be leveraged.
Sure.
And that is when, this GCC for Merck was brought up. It took us around 2 to 3 years, where we scaled up to 1,500 people, and then we were able to in-house certain capabilities, be it cutting-edge technologies, be it your CRMs. We already had an existing ERP capabilities. So that is how I got into the GCC space. Primarily from HR to being a GCC leader. That was a huge transformation which happened in
What
my
an
life.
interesting journey.
Yeah, and it just happened because I think one of the thing which I learned being behind the screen was how to really run and scale these centers, and what are the challenges which come, what are the nuances which you handle. So scaling a GCC primarily would require talent,
Sure.
but
And
more
I'm guessing that's where your people skills and your background in HR would have also helped,
exactly,
right?
and it primarily helps because you need leaders to run GCC, and that is your foundation.
Sure.
Leaders who can talk to outside of the world, who can showcase the capabilities within the country,
Yeah.
and who can also navigate a tough, challenging conversations when it comes to convincing the board.
Right.
So leaders play a very, very important role in the foundation of GCC.
Yeah.
And hence ensuring that you are hiring the right set of people. Investing is what I say is the right word in the right set of people who are the foundation of your organization, and they bring in the right set of people who scale your capabilities.
Sure.
And that's what I think makes a lot of difference. My people background has really helped me because I have seen it from the outside,
Correct.
and then when I come inside this gamut,
Yeah.
I know where I can navigate and what could be the potential challenges.
Sure. And I think the evolution of GCCs is almost as interesting as the evolution of your career.
Yeah.
Like, not so long ago, GCCs were looked at as back offices, cost centers, right?
Yeah.
That narrative has turned on its head. Now, I mean, people are seriously looking at it as innovation hubs,
Yeah.
right? How do you sort of see this innovation personally? It's been quite a journey, right?
Yes. So this innovation is inevitable because people are hungry. If you look at the talents over here, they are hungry to prove themselves, and they have the desire to be agile. So I would say two things which really works out over here. And a lot of people say, oh, jugaad is not something which is a strength. It's like a stopgap. But the jugaad and the anusashan, I say, the discipline and the agility to be able to speed up things,
Sure.
think through the box, are certain strengths which are existing.
It's almost inherent in the Indian fabric.
I mean, you are born to be tough.
Yeah.
You are born to navigate. So
Correct.
when you are born to do that, your parents are not teaching you that, oh, okay, you have all the luxuries and you will get everything and you are prepared for the developed world. They are telling you have to fight for everything. You have to build yourself. You have to be there. Your survival for the fittest is the concept.
Sure.
And in that mode, what you are always doing is you're hunting and gathering, right?
Yeah.
And you know that if you don't hunt and gather, you will be hungry.
Absolutely.
So that hunger is there.
Yeah.
And when that hunger is there, you would want to really do things which makes value.
Yeah.
And creating that value is in everyone's DNA. We are creating value in everything we do. Starting from cutting a milk packet, you know, how Indians do, right? They cut it so that least it can be utilized again.
Yeah.
So repurposing also is something which is there.
Is that the real differentiator, you'd say, Anuprita, why India is emerging as the serious GCC hub?
I would not say that is that's the only factor, but sometimes which was looked at as our not so potential attributes. You know, it's negatively perceived in certain places. Those attributes are also strengths. People forget to embrace that because your ability to survive in a very tough competitive environment is definitely a striver. The resilience comes through that.
Right.
The sustainability of keep doing, even if you fail fast, innovate faster.
Yeah.
That brings in the zeal. Definitely the rest of the things, like how our economy does, how these organizations are pouring into the country, how we are globalizing, all of that has an impact.
Sure.
But primarily the mindset of we will be able to do it and we are there and we will do it is a differentiator, I would say.
Right.
If there is a process, we can follow that process. If there is no process, it doesn't bother us. Ambiguity will not derail us. We will find a way.
Yeah.
And that finding a way and solution is something which I think is a strength as well.
Yeah, I think that's beautifully put. I mean, the way you sort of talk about resilience and in the Indian context, that is so very true. And Anuprita, if we were to talk about like key examples where your center is driving real innovation and value globally, what would you say those are?
So I'll give you a very small example of one of our products which we have. It's called the Miliq, and what it primarily does is it distillizes water for academic studies or some medical uses. So we have this machine, which was a machine which used to get stopped if the chemicals are not poured in at the right time. So if the chemicals are exhausted, your machine is stopped.
Okay.
How did we innovate IoT into it? Is that the moment you as a user, if you are using it, it will give you a warning that your chemicals are going to get over. Now earlier, because we did not have an IoT enabled, the purchaser can purchase any chemicals from anywhere.
Correct.
It necessarily did not come back to our portal of e-commerce.
Right.
So it takes you directly popping out that this is where you will find your chemicals are getting over. So it directly takes you to the cart because this system already knows that this is where your chemicals will be used.
Yeah.
So you have it in your cart, you just have to do 2 clicks and it gets transported within 2 days to your area. Your system doesn't shut because you automatically now, a service engineer does not need to come in. You can do it yourself and you can plug those chemicals yourself through a digital learning. And step by step, it gives you an automated process where you just follow that and plug in that. That saves a huge man hour and no halt of the machine.
Right.
That was a customer delight. And those kind of innovations happened out of the center here. Definitely, we are a global organization. So there are global leaders who also contribute to it.
Sure.
But primarily the front runners in this technology enhancement was done from India. So like these, we have multiple examples which we are creating every day. And we are bringing a lot of value to our business as well as to the day-to-day operations as well.
Right. And there's so much noise around AI at the moment, right? Sometimes it can be deafening. But I have to ask you, like, if you were to think of 1 or 2 use cases within the company that really stand out for you when it comes to AI, what would they be?
So first of all, in first 44 days after the AI came into the existence, the OpenAI part, we had our own Merck ChatGPT. And it was launched within the 45 days.
This was in partnership with?
It was done wholly and solely within the organization, done by our people. And why we are proud about it is that Merck is a 350-year-old company.
Right.
It's more than that now. And the organization has a whole repository. And we are very, very conscious about our data privacy. And hence, using the open source also puts us to risk. So we are educating our business leaders on being able to use my GPT, which is Merck GPT, so that they can get all their, answers to the questions which they have.
And you're sitting on a gold mine of data, like you said, 350 plus years, right? That is insane.
And it's not that all of that has been phased into one go. In phased manner, we are putting all at one system. But the use of GPT, starting from a HR professional to a communication partner to a finance head or to a IT head like me, we are all using that, and that's a beautiful use case. I would say that we have developed. Other than that, we are into healthcare space where we are looking at how can we do AI in the patient safety, patient data, etc. We are in the life sciences area looking
Drug
at it.
discovery
Yes,
is Laksha.
exactly. So all of these are there. At the same time, I would say we do it with a lot of caution, because our ambition is also to look at what really makes business sense. And that evaluation is done first.
Right.
Having the business value and the ROI, because you have to also understand that a single string also is cost.
Correct.
And that is to be evaluated, because if you are incurring more and more cost on something which gives you very little ROI, is it worth spending on that or not? So that kind of a narration goes into our organization as well. But we are continuously doing hackathons. We have a Ignite hackathon, AI hackathon. We started in last year. We have done 4 CDs of those hackathon, and those hackathon primarily gives live user cases, business cases to our people. So we have done first within the organization, then we have called academic partners, and we also have industry partners who participated, and we are now building the POCs to implementation in some of the user cases. So
these hackathons have actually germinated and then developed into
Yes.
full scale.
I won't say it's all have developed yet. They are in the process of developing, but the POCs to getting implemented is something which we are in the phase of doing.
Nice. Okay. And from a personal standpoint, if I were to ask you, when it comes to AI, what is one thing that really excites you, and what is one thing that worries you and keeps you up at night?
So excitement is that I am someone who wants to elevate efficiencies at any given time. So it excites me that we are going to use people for better things rather than doing repetitive tasks and all. And people will also enjoy doing better things. So that is the excitement I feel, that people can upskill themselves and we can go away with some of the jobs which they don't need to do, and we can look up for upskilling all of them and doing better efficiency and ROI to the investment in people which we are making.
Right.
What worries me is the hype about the AI. And at times we think, oh, all jobs are going to go, we are going to be in a world of AI where humans will be replaced by robots. That's not happening. I mean, I want to tell that when calculators came, it was a form of AI. People started thinking that people will stop using their brains because some calculator is being able to calculate complex numbers.
Yeah.
But it's not true. I mean, AI enabled talent is what we should talk about. I mean, you should know how to use your AI to your best interest, and they will not be replacing humans at any point in time. So that hype around the AI that everything is gonna go and we'll not need people, it won't happen, because people have a unique ability of emotions, right emotion, intellectual connect, and also this blend of being able to do certain problem solutions which are not written in codes. So you and I are talking about it.
Yeah.
There is something which is a new experience between both of us.
Yeah.
I have the mind to really think and innovate and talk about it. But will AI do that? I'm not very sure.
Yeah, I think that's wonderfully put. I also want to ask you, there is, chatter out there that some people take offense to the term GCC.
Yeah.
They're like, why a different name? Because, somebody sitting in the US is saying this is our India office. Why do we need to call them GCCs or whatever? What is your sort of perspective on this?
Uh, you asked me a two-edged sword question. I am also front-ending the GCC leaders and all of that, but I think yeah, there's no need of having a unique connotation to the organization, which is one. And if that goes out, is only then the rest of the organizations would start seeing you as an integral part of the organization.
Yeah,
So we are Merck in India.
correct.
And I am Merck Information Technology Center in India or Merck India Center. I am not GCC for my organization.
Yeah.
So that dissociation would be important for your integration. And I think GCC is a way to ensure that this buzz is going on because it's creating a lot of employment opportunities, lot of opportunities in the country.
Yeah.
So it's good to have certain connotations to that, but I think from Merck standpoint, we are very, we know that we are one entity,
Right.
and the value has to be driven for business, and we are looking at a possibility, a vision where we are digital partners to our business, and that's why we are a science and technology company.
Sure. And when we talk about plans to strengthen or scale talent to accelerate innovation from the India Center, what does that look like?
If you could elaborate the question a little
Yeah,
more.
so I'm trying to get a sense of how you want to scale talent from here in terms of hiring and so on.
Okay, yeah. So, scaling talent has always been a part of Merck's DNA. If you see my growth into this role, is also growth and career given to a person based on the potential. Okay, so I think Merck has this unique DNA of providing opportunity on couple of parameters. One, if you have the potential. Second, how much you would want to do and how much you would want to achieve. So if you have the potential and you would want to do it, Merck would really give that to you. And that is the driver, I would say. We have global leadership sitting out of India. It's an opportunity. We have a voice into our organization. We have very unique programs like Go Global running into the organization. This is a student exchange program where we hire students from colleges, and we give them an opportunity of being into different countries, explore different business which they are deputed to, and then come back and join what they really liked. And this is a global program which we are running. And the same happens like in Darmstadt. If there's a student, they are also able to come and do a stint in India. So it's a global program, and we have these very robustly running. So talent is a very important piece for Merck.
Right.
And we really open our doors. We just recently did our career fair. It's a career compass where we open up all our business leaders doing this showcase of their respective functions. What do they do? And what are the openings available? And if someone is interested, they can apply within the roles and they can really upskill and get into those roles.
Okay.
So we highly encourage these kind of talent exchanges. In terms of scaling and hiring, it's a continuously growing organization. Though we say that IT, we are not going to grow as much because we have attained the desired headcount, but we are going to grow in terms of value.
Okay.
Because that is where we are heading towards. By 2030, we want to see ourselves that we are creating more value from this organization, and we are, scaling up the businesses in India.
And India is obviously one of the most young countries out there. So for young people out there who want to explore the GCC space, right? And you're at a sort of vantage point here because you have navigated your career in such an interesting way. So this would be advice for tech and non-tech folks both. Like if they were to sort of want to explore this, what would your message to them be?
I think all my life I've just valued one thing: believe in yourself. If you want to do it, do it. Don't worry whether you fail or pass. It's a learning experience. So I have inculcated that don't shy away from doing a lot of work. A lot of work only gives you a lot of ability to understand where you would want to go.
Right.
If you don't explore, you will be only in one path. When you explore, you find new paths.
Sure.
And it is important that you have that energy that I want to do it and I will do it. Results are a later part. I mean, to my daughter also, today I always tell her that what you do and how you do is important. What is the result of it is an after thing. We can always, we get enough opportunities to look at how we can get better. But when opportunity comes, not grabbing that opportunity is a lost opportunity that might never come to you.
Sure.
So I think today I see a lot of people choosing their opportunities. That is a difference.
Yeah.
But at times, choosing an opportunity could also be losing an opportunity.
Yeah.
So,
And what is it that you think this space offers to young people which may attract them? Or for that matter, while you're at it, also maybe tell us what are the things that they potentially may look at as challenging.
I think for them, challenging is to give extra hours of work on a lighter note. But I think challenging is fighting our own self. I think if there are times when you have to fight your own inabilities or your own shortcomings.
Sure.
And challenging your own self. I think that is what really brings the difference and the change which you would want to do. So I was told once when I took just a new role and my manager came in and we were doing the first conversation. And he's a brilliant guy. He just asked me one thing. So Anu, where are you going next? And I'm like, I just joined this role and you are asking me where are you going next? And I was quite young then. And then I was like, is he mad or what? Or does he not like me at all? But then after some time, I understood why he asked this question. Is because he said this, that you are here today because you did what you did.
Yeah.
But where you want to go is now the time when you have to work for it to reach there.
Yeah.
So that's why he asked this question, that where do you want to go next, so that he can help me navigate to be where I would want to go next.
Right.
So I inculcated that. So for me, my team, my people, I have this prominent question and I ask them, when they are there, what's next? And it could be anything, but the thought process has to be there.
Perks of this industry?
Lot of perks, having a podcast with you. For sure. But I think this industry has a huge amount of knowledge which you can get starting from time I came to the airport till now. I have met so many different people with so varied knowledge and so much of depth that it wows me that, the more I hear, the more I want to learn.
Yeah.
So there is huge.
It's a large playing field, right?
Exactly. It's a large playing field, and you can rarely go from one capability to another, and it's fast paced.
Yeah.
So people who like fast, agile, quick learning, more learning, volume learning, SME, just be in one, all of that is there.
Wonderful. Anuprita, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you here today. Thanks so much again for taking the time out.
Thank you for helping me do this. Thanks a lot.
Sure.